on January 13th, 1995, in Essex, England, Jonathan Frederick Antoine grew up as a shy and introverted child until he opened his mouth to sing, and suddenly everyone went quiet. Not out of confusion, but awe. From a young age, Jonathan showed a deep love for classical music, and his talent didn't go unnoticed. At West Hatch High School, his voice stunned vocal coach Jenny Ewington, who immediately recognized that this wasn't just another student with a good voice. This was something extraordinary. The defining moment came at age 17 when Jonathan stepped into the national spotlight on the 6th season of Britain's Got Talent, performing as part of a classical duo with schoolmate Charlotte Giaconelli. Their rendition of the prayer wasn't just a performance, it was a cultural moment. It captivated millions across the UK, silent skeptics, and even left the famously hard-to-impress Simon Cowell visibly stunned. Although they finished as runners-up, Jonathan and Charlotte were quickly offered a recording deal by Cowell's label Psycho, and the duo became overnight stars, blending classical vocals with mainstream appeal in a way few had seen before. But even amidst roaring applause and media frenzy, a quiet question began circulating. Who was this soft-spoken teenager with the angelic voice and the humility of a boy next door? And more importantly, was he ready for the fame that had just consumed his life? That question would find its answer not in flashy headlines, but in a bold decision. Just a few years later, Jonathan would walk away from the duo and begin crafting a path entirely his own. And that's where the real story begins. After the whirlwind success of Britain's Got Talent, most young artists might have clung tightly to the spotlight, but Jonathan Antoine chose a different path. In 2014, just 2 years after becoming a household name in the UK, Jonathan and Charlotte Giaconelli announced a professional split, citing artistic differences. For many fans, it was a shock. The duo had become beloved not just for their harmonies, but for their chemistry and emotional connection on stage. But for Jonathan, this wasn't a breakup, it was a breakthrough. He knew his voice, his passion, and his artistic vision were pushing him in a new direction. That same year, he released his debut solo album, Tenor, a bold and unapologetically classical project that showcased his booming tenor voice with more intensity and vulnerability than ever before. It was followed by Believe in 2016, and later Going the Distance in 2020, each album solidifying his place not just as a former talent show contestant, but as a serious classical crossover artist. What makes Jonathan stand out is that he never tried to conform to pop stardom. He embraced the grandeur of orchestral arrangements, operatic storytelling, and a sense of musical purity that resonated with fans seeking something deeper than chart-topping hits. Critics praised his vocal maturity, even as his image remained humble and approachable. He performed in concert halls across the UK, the US, and even ventured into virtual shows in the pandemic, never chasing fame, but always commanding respect. As the years went by, Jonathan's artistry seemed to mature alongside his voice, evolving from teenage prodigy to seasoned performer. And yet, despite all the accolades and albums, his personal life remained a mystery, leading fans to wonder, if his music speaks so loudly, why does he speak so softly about everything else? That question brings us to a more delicate subject, the money behind the music and how a global voice translates to real-world wealth. When it comes to Jonathan Antoine's finances, the story isn't written in flashy headlines or extravagant shopping sprees, but rather in carefully curated choices and a quiet sense of purpose. Public estimates place his net worth around $4 million, a figure that surprises many considering his global fan base and long-running career. But unlike typical pop stars who flaunt their income through luxury yachts and designer endorsements, Jonathan's financial journey has been notably low profile. The bulk of his earnings reportedly comes from album sales, private performances, concert tours, and digital streaming revenue, modest by entertainment standards but steady and sustainable. His albums, including Tenor, Believe, and Going the Distance, have performed solidly within classical and crossover circles, earning critical praise and commercial support from loyal fans worldwide. But there's an ongoing mystery that even devoted fans can't seem to solve. Where does the money go? There are no public records of sprawling mansions, no luxury sports cars featured on Instagram, and certainly no brand sponsorships hawking cologne or watches. His lifestyle appears calm, grounded, and almost deliberately ordinary, making some wonder if he invests quietly, donates anonymously, or simply saves more than he spends. Yet, this approach may be more strategic than people realize. In an industry obsessed with constant reinvention and public exposure, Jonathan's financial modesty might just be his greatest long-term play, choosing stability over spectacle. Still, the absence of outward wealth only deepens the curiosity surrounding his daily life. How does a man with one of the most powerful voices of his generation choose to live so quietly? The answer, it seems, lies not in his bank account, but in his body, his habits, and a personal health journey that began not long after the fame took hold. Behind the standing ovations and soaring vocal performances, Jonathan Antoine was fighting a battle far away from the spotlight, a deeply personal health journey that would shape not only his body, but his identity as an artist and human being. In the years following his rise to fame, Jonathan faced intense scrutiny over his physical appearance, with the media often focusing more on his weight than his talent. But instead of lashing out or playing into the toxic expectations of celebrity culture, Jonathan chose transformation on his own terms. Reports indicate he lost approximately 5 stone, around 70 pounds, not through crash diets or reality show gimmicks, but through gradual, sustained efforts to prioritize his mental and physical well-being. He began exercising more, adjusting his diet, and most importantly, taking control of the narrative surrounding his own health. But this wasn't just about aesthetics. In 2022, Jonathan shared something even more personal. He had been diagnosed with autism. For many, that revelation offered clarity, not just about the anxiety he occasionally displayed during interviews, but about his deep emotional sensitivity, his quiet demeanor, and his often overlooked resilience. Rather than hiding this part of himself, Jonathan spoke about it openly, adding another layer to the complex portrait of a man who defies celebrity stereotypes. He didn't just want to feel better, he wanted to understand himself. Today, his life's Jonathan Antoine's vocal cords have mesmerized millions. His silence on matters of love has stirred just as much intrigue. Unlike many celebrities who display their partners like trophies on red carpets or social media feeds, Jonathan has chosen to keep his romantic life almost entirely off the record, fueling endless speculation among fans and tabloids alike. For years, rumors swirled about a long-distance relationship with a woman named Michelle Doucet, someone he once affectionately referred to as the light of my life during an interview. But beyond that brief and poetic mention, no further details were confirmed, leaving the public to piece together fragments of a love story that may have quietly begun and perhaps quietly ended behind the scenes. There are no engagement announcements, no paparazzi shots of cozy vacations, no cryptic Instagram captions hinting at heartbreak or affection. Instead, there's a consistent pattern of emotional privacy, a wall that even the most persistent tabloid reporters haven't managed to scale. Some fans speculate that Jonathan's deeply introspective nature and late autism diagnosis may make traditional relationships more complex or harder to navigate in the public eye. Others suggest he may be deliberately shielding loved ones from the relentless scrutiny that fame often brings. Whatever the reason, one thing is clear: his silence is not accidental, it's intentional. In a world where oversharing is the norm, Jonathan's refusal to turn his heart into clickbait is both rare and strangely admirable. Still, the mystery lingers. Has he found love quietly, far from the noise? Is he single by choice, focused solely on his music and health? Or is there a story waiting to be told, one that, like his best performances, will reveal itself only when the timing feels just right? As fans ponder the unknown of his romantic world, another question surfaces. Where exactly does Jonathan Antoine retreat when he's not performing? The answer might be hidden not in a song, but in the walls of the home he rarely lets the public see. In an era where celebrity mansions often become tourist attractions, Jonathan Antoine stands as a curious exception, a world-renowned voice whose living space remains largely out of public view. Despite an estimated net worth of $4 million and over a decade of international acclaim, there are no glossy magazine spreads flaunting marble countertops, private theaters, or walk-in closets filled with designer clothes. No aerial drone footage of an English countryside estate or sleek penthouse in London. In fact, very few people outside of his inner circle could confidently say where Jonathan Antoine actually lives. What little we do know suggests that his approach to housing mirrors his approach to fame: quiet, thoughtful, and unapologetically personal. Rumors have hinted at a modest home somewhere near his native Essex, or a low-profile residence in a suburban area where he can walk undisturbed. But these are just whispers. There's never been confirmation, never a house tour video, and certainly no indulgent displays of wealth. For someone whose voice can fill opera halls and captivate arenas, his decision to keep his private environment sacred speaks volumes. Some speculate he simply values solitude over spectacle. Others believe that his home reflects his priorities, peace, wellness, and space to grow as both an artist and a person. And for all the fans hoping to catch a glimpse of his living room or a garden path, there's a sense of respect, even admiration for the boundaries he set. In a world of oversharing, Jonathan's elusive home life feels almost poetic, like a castle of silence built to protect something far more valuable than chandeliers or square footage. Yet while his house may be hidden, another element of celebrity lifestyle often finds the spotlight whether stars want it or not, the car they drive. So what exactly does Jonathan Antoine cruise around in, if anything at all? For most celebrities, luxury cars are more than just transportation. They're rolling billboards of success. But in Jonathan Antoine's case, his choice of wheels, like so much of his lifestyle, is wrapped in deliberate mystery. With an estimated net worth running into the millions, you might expect a garage filled with Lamborghinis, Bentleys, or at least a sleek matte black Tesla. But you'd be hard-pressed to find a single verified photo of Jonathan posing next to any vehicle, let alone bragging about one. Whether it's the British humility in his veins or a genuine disinterest in material flash, Jonathan seems entirely unbothered by the pressure to show off. Sources close to the classical music world whisper that he's more likely to be spotted in an unbranded, fuel-efficient sedan than behind the wheel of a sports car that could fund a small village. And while most of his peers in the entertainment industry treat their social media pages like digital catalogs of their latest luxury acquisitions, Jonathan's feeds are refreshingly void of status symbols. No designer watch showcases, no suitcase hauls from Paris, no iced-out chains dangling from custom-fitted suits. If anything, his wardrobe reflects his voice, timeless, elegant, and intentional. He's been known to wear tailored jackets and crisp shirts during performances, but offstage, there's reason to believe his go-to ensemble includes more flannel than Ferragamo. Some might interpret this as a lack of interest in fashion or luxury, but to his loyal fan base, it signals something deeper: authenticity. In a world where so many public figures are playing a game of appearances, Jonathan Antoine seems to have quietly opted out of the competition, and that in itself raises a compelling question. If he's not spending his money on image, where is it going? The answer may lie not in what he buys, but in what he gives, emotionally, artistically, and in how he connects with his fans. But before we explore that, we need to understand the powerful presence he's built without needing to shout. Jonathan Antoine's fan base is unlike most in the modern entertainment landscape, not driven by tabloid gossip or social media antics, but by something far rarer: emotional loyalty. While viral celebrities come and go like trending hashtags, Jonathan has managed to cultivate a following that's as devoted as it is diverse, spanning from elderly opera lovers in Vienna to Gen Z TikTokers discovering classical crossover for the first time. And yet, he's done it all without ever becoming what one might call mainstream famous. He doesn't chase hashtags, manufacture scandals, or participate in reality TV stunts. In fact, he's the kind of artist whose popularity isn't broadcast through follower counts, but felt deeply in the sold-out concert halls, the online forums trading performance clips, and the fan accounts posting throwback videos with captions like "The Voice That Heals." His public image is a curious blend of old-world charm and new-world sincerity, never forced, never filtered. While many artists attempt to curate relatability through PR strategies, Jonathan doesn't have to. His awkward smiles, heartfelt thank yous, and visible nerves on stage are not weaknesses. They're what fans love most. To them, he's not just a phenomenal tenor. He's a symbol of resilience, vulnerability, and authenticity in an industry addicted to polish. Over the years, supporters have sent him heartfelt letters, made artwork in his honor, and even traveled internationally just to hear him sing live. There are countless social media comments referring to his voice as medicine, a blessing, or the sound of angels. And unlike many artists who grow jaded or distant, Jonathan frequently acknowledges with humility, often referring to them as the reason he continues to perform. It's clear that his fame isn't the kind built on flashing lights and viral moments. It's a slow burn, fueled by connection, respect, and the raw emotional power of music. But behind that voice and public grace lies a deeper layer, one that wasn't fully understood until Jonathan made a courageous personal revelation about his mental health. What he shared next would forever change how the world saw him, not just as an artist, but as a person. In 2022, Jonathan Antoine made a quiet yet profound revelation, one that redefined how fans and critics alike understood the man behind the voice. After years of private reflection and navigating the complex landscape of fame, Jonathan shared that he had been diagnosed with autism. The news didn't arrive with a press conference or media fanfare. Instead, it came with the same gentle honesty that has always defined him, a simple acknowledgement of something deeply personal that made sense of so much in his life. For those who had followed his journey since the Britain's Got Talent days, the announcement was a lens that brought clarity. The stage fright, the soft-spoken interviews, the intense sensitivity to sound and emotion, it all connected. But far from being a limitation, Jonathan's diagnosis offered a window into his creative soul. Rather than run from the label, he embraced it as a piece of his identity, further deepening the bond he shares with fans who have long admired his authenticity. Mental health has always been a silent undertone in Jonathan's story, hinted at in his emotional performances and periods of retreat from the spotlight. But now there was language to describe it. He spoke about anxiety, the pressure of expectations, and the need for safe spaces, both on and off the stage. What could have been a moment of vulnerability became a moment of empowerment. His openness inspired conversations among fans about neurodiversity arts and the importance of mental well-being in a notoriously brutal industry. In a world where many still misunderstand or stigmatize autism, Jonathan's courage helped reshape narratives, not just about him, but about what it means to succeed while being different. He proved that brilliance doesn't require conformity, and that true artistry often lives in the very places society tells us to hide. And so, as his voice continues to soar in concert halls and recordings, it carries with it a deeper harmony, one not just of notes, but of truth, resilience, and radical self-acceptance. Which leads us to the final question. With all the mystery, all the modesty, and all the magnificence, who is the real Jonathan Antoine when the curtain falls? Strip away the spotlight, the stage lights, and the standing ovations, and what remains is perhaps Jonathan Antoine's most powerful achievement, being unapologetically himself. While most celebrities are carefully curated personas shaped by publicists and algorithms, Jonathan has remained something far more compelling, a man driven by music, grounded in humility, and shielded by intention. He has defied nearly every rule in the entertainment playbook. He doesn't chase trends, reveal everything on social media, or flash wealth for validation. And yet, his presence in the hearts of fans is as loud as any billboard on Sunset Boulevard. He lives without spectacle, yet inspires all. He sings from the soul, yet speaks so little about his own. He reveals just enough to connect, but guards enough to protect. In a time when overexposure is currency, Jonathan Antoine has found a different kind of wealth: peace, purpose, and privacy. His net worth may be millions, but his true value lies in what can't be measured: empathy, authenticity, and a voice that feels like a friend in the dark. He's built a career without ego, a legacy without scandal, and a bond with fans that doesn't demand headlines to survive. Whether he's performing on a grand stage, retreating into the quiet of his private life, or navigating personal battles most never see, Jonathan remains a rare kind of artist, one who lets his art do the talking. And maybe, just maybe, that's the loudest kind of statement a celebrity can make in 2025. The real Jonathan Antoine isn't found in tabloids or trending hashtags. He's found in the silence between the notes, the stillness after the applause, and the millions of hearts his voice continues to touch without ever needing to shout.